Hi, this is the hatchetjob.com gaming netcast playing the Unfinished Swan, and we've just come into this new area. So let's see what's going on. Ah, interesting. I've got balloon. So in the last video I talked about PlayStation VR and how I was disappointed at the videos I'd seen of it. Oh, gosh, that... And I kind of wanted to keep on talking about that today as I explored. This seems like a good game to talk about things in. Oh, excellent. Oh, is it? No, if we angle down, we might just bounce towards that balloon. What was that? Oh, I didn't see that. Maybe I should have been down below to see that. I want to see if I can hit this balloon. With my bouncy balls. Oh! So close. If I hit it down here... Oh my god, it's so close! It only bounces on the green though, it looks like. I don't know if I will die if I... Oh. Yes! Oh! Okay, let's go back down the tree. So I tried HTC Vive, and oh, mother me, in North London. It's a place in Camden Market that is kind of an arcade place for virtual reality, where okay, so I have to drop. Okay, I have to drop from the tree onto that balcony. So they've got this long, large room set up, and they have at least two, I think at least 3 Vives in there, maybe 4, and also an Oculus. And the Vive, I went with friends who'd organised it, and the Vives were set up so there were two of you could stand next to each other, still have enough space to move around, and the cables were kind of pulled up toward the ceiling, and what you were seeing was being projected onto the wall behind you, so the other people could see what's happening. And can we climb up here? We can. Good. Let's hop over here. Now, what's this area? So obviously this is a pipe that fed the rocket, and that must have fed the rocket when I added water down here, maybe? That's quite clever. Of all his creations, the greatest was himself. A quote I see often a lot. I see a lot, or often, on the internet was that a man has to go through pain when he improves himself because he's both the marble and the sculptor.
Unlike his nicely trimmed hedge maze, the vines refused to stay where the king wanted them. He ordered his subjects to pull up every vine they saw, but the people were getting tired of the king's endless decrees. So they secretly began watering the vines whenever the king wasn't looking.
And there's a hippo there. There was a hippo kind of statue in one of the earlier levels. Can I water this? No. And so it's my first time trying VR in 30 years or something crazy like that. vase. I wonder if there's a limit on how many balls we can put at it. I imagine that... I think we've lost some over here. Okay, we'll send these vines up. Up and up and up. And... the Vive, it was slightly... It was a good experience model. Ah, so where's this going to come out of? Okay, there's got to be something around here. It was a good but not a great experience because the HTC Vive wouldn't fit over my specs. And the first time they tried to put it on, I think the person who'd been wearing it before was a woman with a tiny head. And obviously didn't have specs, and so they had to pull all the straps right out to get it over my specs the first time. Because there's this kind of quite comfortable padding all around the goggles, and it's very thick, and it sits right against your face. So to get my specs in there the first time, the headset felt a bit loose. Which, you know, wasn't... Ah, can we send things through here? I think we can. Which wasn't ideal, because when I was in the game was you were standing on a platform in space, and there were these kind of portals around you, raid around you, and spaceships would come out of them and try to sort of shoot you. And when I first put it on, maybe because it wasn't close enough to my eyes, because they couldn't get the specs to work, it felt like I was stepping into a room that was supposed to represent being in space, rather than me feeling like I was actually in space. I didn't have an enormous sense of depth or anything. And the chaperone system is where, because you can walk around with the Vive on, and you can walk around your room, you can walk around your play space. If you get too close to the kind of edge of the tracking, then you'll see this grid on a mesh on the walls. And so the chaperone thing was quite close to me. And also, it felt slightly that the headset was wobbling, or I was worried it was going to fall off. So that wasn't great. And then I played a... Oh, am I climbing? Can I climb up here? Oh, maybe I can. Ah, maybe I can... There's a wall. Is that a wall or a roof? This is a ceiling, sorry. And so that wasn't great, because I was thinking like, oh, well, this is kind of interesting, but it's not amazing, and the headset's going to fall off. What was good is being able to look at the virtual guns I had in my hand and kind of rotate them, because the controllers were tracking very well. And then I played... Let's listen to the music. Oh. Oh, this is a dinner table. This is a banqueting room. go up the side. Oh my god, this game would be terribly confusing for you. Let's get to the music and then I'll continue the story. Can we get these to branch out here? Yes, we can. Interesting. They're going to want to climb up this wall, I imagine. No. Where's the swan? There you are.
Hey!
So I have to climb up here, I think. So anyway, so that was the first game I tried, and then the second one was part of Valve's laboratory kind of set of demos for the HTC Vive. And that one, you were put on a kind of ramparts of a cartoony castle and had to kill stick men, shoot them with a bow and arrow. So how do we do this? How do we do this? It's something to do with these vines. Maybe we have to go across that way. Ah, okay. I think we have to climb down. Yep. And that was a much better expression of room scale. Because you start off in a kind of a large warehouse, and you get to choose by looking around and teleporting to what you want to do, the game you want to play. So I teleported towards this kind of ruined castle door. And where's this game? And then you're then presented with this kind of large model of a castle that you might see at a model village or something, or almost like a child's toy castle, but for an extremely wealthy child. And you got to look around it, and there was a little figure on the ramparts that you had to kind of. Oh my god, this is not good. Can we go down this way? Oh, this is quite scary. And then once you use the controllers to kind of look at this little guy. Oh my good lord, this would be sickening in VR. You would then put on. You basically went into that toy castle, and you were on this again on the ramparts. You had a bow and arrow, and you could turn around and use a flaming torch on them to make them light up. You could hit TNT, and you got to draw your bow and arrow, and it was quite good fun. And I wasn't very good at it, but it made me feel. Can I drop here? This is very confusing. Up this way. It kind of made me feel like Legolas. Oh fuck! In Lord of the Rings, and like from the movies, and that was very cool. The problem was that the kind of the headphone cable and the Vive cable kept getting wrapped around me. Where are you supposed to go? So, just as you are gonna, you're getting into the feel of things, you kind of had to twist your body and contort yourself, and to use the bow, you had to move your hand underneath the wire and then around it, so that kind of spoiled the immersion a bit. Up here? Jesus, it's really complicated. Where have we got to get to? It's something to do with those bridges, isn't it? It's something to do with those bridges. Are we supposed to come this way? Maybe. Excuse me for 1 second. Sorry about that. And where are we going? Going down or up? Oh. So it's like as good as it was, the head tracking was very good, and the controller tracking was excellent. The technology got in the way of the experience. And also, when I first went into Vive, and looked at the graphics in the space game, I thought, oh, is that it? You know, the although it was much more cartoony and childlike in the bow and arrow demo, the kind of it didn't look as jagged. It didn't have as many aliasing problems. And then the final thing I played was a game called Raw Data, which is a co-op wave kind of horde mode shooter. But unfortunately, we couldn't play co-op. What was interesting about the setup in this place in Camden is that we're going to the. This is where the regular people of the city live, where they're washing everywhere. Excuse me for 1 second, I just have to make a note of something on my phone. Okay, good. And take a sip of water. So... Oh. See...
The king hated the sea, and all because of his very first castle. It was the only one he had ever come close to finishing, and it took him a single day. But then the tide came in and washed it all away. He vowed that someday he'd build a kingdom that would last forever.
So... Raw Data, this kind of wave shooter, which you could play co-op. But what I was saying was interesting is that they had two Vive set up next to each other. Each one was using a different PC, but I think they were sharing the lighthouses, which are the kind of the small speaker-like cubes that allow the Vive to track your position and movement. So I thought that was quite interesting. But Raw Data didn't look all that good. It looked quite jaggy, and you're basically standing in the middle of a laboratory fighting with waves of robots. And... okay, let's go that way. Let's go up this way first. And it had this peculiar kind of system where you had to reach down to your right hip. Oh! That's the king. That looks really comfortable. I wouldn't mind living in a place like that. Has his heart been taken away, or his stomach? Living on a lighthouse. So it's quite jaggy, and the Vive controllers have multiple buttons. So there's a trigger button underneath your index finger, and then there's a kind of a dial almost, or a trackpad for your thumb. And then on the side there are other buttons that you squeeze your hand to activate. And I couldn't get the hang of those side buttons because they were kind of... I just couldn't get the hang of them. And so as I was playing, to reload, well, first of all you have to pick up your gun from your right hip, your right side by the hip, and then to reload you have to put your left hand down and grab the controller and then lift it up and tuck that into the bottom of your right hand, simulate putting a magazine into your gun. And it was kind of working okay, but then in a moment of kind of tension when I was getting overwhelmed, or I pressed the wrong button or something, or it wasn't entirely me, it was my unfamiliarity with the controls. I kind of pressed the wrong button, and then I got, in the middle of a firefight, I got this floating menu screen. And then, that's a nice shark shape. And then I got another menu screen. And then I ran out of ammo as all these robots were surrounding me. So in VR I was surrounded by these killer robots, and I kind of had to think, okay lads, you keep on trying to hit me. I'm just going to fiddle with these virtual controls to try and get this magazine back to reload. And it kind of worked, and then it didn't. And then, maybe because of the way I was using my controllers, I was bracing I was bracing my gun hand on my left wrist, like you see in movies when a policeman is holding a torch in his left hand, and he's resting his right hand on top of it to kind of brace, like in a cross formation. I was doing that, and it was working fine until suddenly it wasn't, and my hands in the game world squodged together. They kind of got all tangled up, and I couldn't untangle them. And then my gun disappeared, but I could still fire it. But I couldn't see where I could fire. I just saw... Oh, here's where we are. I just saw kind of the muzzle flash, and that, you know... And you don't want that to happen in a game. And then, of course, also... By this point, we'd figured out how to fit my specs into the headset, but the way to fit them into the headset was to basically smush them against your face. So they went tilted, and one side of them was kind of poking to my eyebrow. And then, as all of this was happening, the bloody headphones that I was wearing were falling off my head and sliding. So in the middle of a firefight, or in the middle of shooting these people with bow and arrows, I'd have to kind of stop and pull the headphones back up. And it was just, you know, the way it worked in this place is you could play for half an hour or an hour. I have to go underneath this. I'm a 7-year-old child or something. How am I supposed to use monkey bars? This is stupid. I suppose maybe a 7-year-old could use monkey bars. And it sort of felt like if I was using it at home, maybe I could spend more time getting everything better. Well, I could spend more time getting everything better, making sure the headphones didn't slide off, you know, that kind of jazz, making sure that I could get my specs less uncomfortable. I wouldn't say more comfortable, but less uncomfortable. And so I thought about all the problems people had been having with PSVR, and another one of my group lost tracking in the bow and arrow demo. And I looked it up today. The Vive headset is £770. Now you do get the controllers with that, but you know, and then let's say you have to add delivery onto that. Fuck knows who wouldn't give you delivery if you bought £770 worth of stuff. But maybe it goes up to £780. Without a PC, and it's still, even in literally a business, this business's job is giving you virtual reality experiences. It still went a bit janky, and maybe that was my fault, but that's kind of where that's almost where the PSVR is going to live, I think. You know, if you could give people a chance to go and play Vive, they'd be very impressed. And they'd certainly want roomscale to be able to look about. But if you said, oh yeah, this is 770 quid, and you still have tracking issues. Oh, and no, it's £2,000 because you have to get a PC. Or you can have the PSVR, and it does 60% of what the Vive can do, and it has some tracking issues, but that's it. I think they might go for PSVR. Am I supposed to drop here, or am I supposed to get these? This is nothing. Nothing is coming out. Am I supposed to go around the outside, like a trailer park goal? Or am I supposed to drop there? Oh, there's sharks here. Am I supposed to drop this? No way. Are they snaking outside? I think they might be. Come on. Oh, bugger! Oh, shit! Okay, let's go up there. Oh, there's a balloon up there. I'm going to try to get across this bridge and then I'll stop. We might be able to go on the outside. No. Oh, shit. Okay, we'll try again. So, yeah. The Vive, I wouldn't mind a Vive. Or let me put it another way: if you can have a Vive at near console costs and console ease of use, then I'd want a Vive. But kind of playing solitary room scale experiences, it would be cool, but it's got to be, you know, you've kind of got to have the VR equivalent of a microwave. Like, the Vive is an oven, and it's an oven for when you want to make a proper meal, and you want to maybe share it with people, and you want to take your time and have a great experience. But if you're tired at the end of a day, you're going to reach for the microwave. And the microwave meal... Can we drop here?
Whoa!
There we are. The microwave meal will not be as good as an oven meal. It will not be as tasty as an oven meal. And it might have a bit too much salt. And it may not be exactly what you want. But you don't have to do any prep. You don't have to chop any vegetables. You don't have to monitor what's going on. You can just eat. And that's kind of where, if people don't have massive problems with PlayStation VR tracking and it doesn't make them nauseous, that's kind of where the VR is going to live. PlayStation VR, that is. Let me see what this says.
The vines were slowly burying the king and his city. No matter what he tried, the king couldn't stop them. So he decided to create something that could. He mixed in paint thinner, malice, and snot, and soon had the outlines of a pretty horrible creature. But it wasn't until the thing began to coil its tentacles and snap its jaws that the king understood what he had made. And for the first time in his life, the king was afraid.
Blimey. Okay, well, I think that's a good time to stop the Unfinished Swan. I'm going to stay broadcast. I'm going to play Hand of Fate next. But that's it from me for the Unfinished Swan. Oh, and on the Vive, I didn't have any kind of feeling sick. The raw data was kind of heavy, and I felt a bit kind of othered when I stepped out of it. And at one moment on the ramparts of the bow and arrow game, I looked over the side and I went, "Oh, that doesn't feel right." But that lasted a second or so. Mainly, it was just kind of mentally tiring rather than sick making. So hopefully, I'll be okay for PSVR. Okay, that's it from me and the Unfinished Swan. Keep checking our channel to see more videos of it. Thanks and goodbye.